Hey, how's it going? So in this lesson, we are continuing our coverage of factoring trinomials. This is part 3. In previous lessons, we talked about whether or not the coefficients are all positive and some are partly negative. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the C part being negative, and I'll explain what that is. Let's get started. So looking at our first problem, we have x squared plus 2x minus 15. So this coefficient here is 1. So we could look at that coefficient as A, this one is B, and this one is C. So when I say C is negative, we're looking at the last part. So what do you do when the C is negative and you're trying to factor out a trinomial? And if you'd like to, you could go to the two previous lessons to find out what factoring is, what a trinomial is, and how that works with the FOIL method. And I'm going to show it here to you also. So now, basically, we're saying C is negative. So C equals negative 15. So how are we going to factor out this trinomial? So first of all, we have our two parentheses. We know from the FOIL method that our first variable is going to be x. So we're looking for a number, two numbers that when you multiply them, you get negative 15, but when you add them, you get 2. So let's look at that. So we could have 5 times a negative 3. We could have negative 5 times 3. Or we could have 15 times a negative 1, or negative 15 times 1. So basically, looking at these, multiplying these numbers will get you negative 15. What happens when you add those two numbers? Well, you get 2. If we were to say 5 plus a minus 3 here, we would get 2. So we're going to go with these right here. So your number is x plus 5, x minus 3. So then we go to FOIL. We use our FOIL method, which we learned in previous lessons, is first, outside, inside, and last. And what this is when you have two parentheses of two binomials, 5, x, and 3, when you multiply those, you usually get a trinomial, but there's a certain way you multiply those, and you use what they call the FOIL method. So when we're multiplying these two binomials together, we look at the first variables in the parentheses as x and x. So x times x is x squared. Then we look at the outside. We have an x here and a minus 3. So minus 3 times x is minus 3x. Then we look at the inside numbers. We have a 5 and an x. 5 times x is 5x. And then lastly, we look at the last variables. 5 times a negative 3, which is minus 15. So when we add like terms, we have a plus 5x minus a 3x. That'll give us our 2x. So we have x squared plus 2x minus 15 is our answer, which is what we came up with earlier. So whenever you're looking at a trinomial where the C part is negative, more than likely you're going to have one number that's bigger than the other, which is going to be positive. The other number is going to be negative, where when you multiply them, you'll get a negative number, but when you add them, you'll get a positive number. So I hope this helps. Let's go ahead and move to the next problem. Okay, our next problem is x squared minus 7x minus 18. In this problem, we see that our C is minus 18. And basically, A, B, and C is just representing the three coefficients in the trinomial. A is 1, B is negative 7, C is negative 18. We're working on what happens when your C is negative 18. How do you factor out that trinomial? So we have C is negative 18. So we write our two parentheses. We know we're going to start with x, because when we multiply these by the FOIL method, x times x will give us our x squared. But now we're looking at what two numbers can I multiply to get negative 18, but when I add them, you get a negative 7. How does that work? So we could do 18 times 1. We could do 9 times a negative 2, or negative 9 times 2, or 18 times a negative 1. So looking at these numbers, I want to multiply two numbers to give me negative 18, but when I add them, I want to get negative 7. Looks like this is going to be the answer. Negative 9 and 2. So we have x minus 9, x plus 2. Now, in order to check our answer, to make sure that we get back to the original problem, we're going to use the FOIL method, which is first is x times x. We're looking at the first variable in the parentheses, x squared. Outside, we have our x and our 2. So 2 times x is 2x. We're looking inside, which is our negative 9 times x, which is minus 9x. And then we're looking at our last two numbers, minus 9 plus 2. When you multiply those out, negative 9 times 2 is negative 18. So now we combine like terms. We have x squared. We have a minus 9x plus 2x. That gives us a minus 7x minus 18, which is our original answer. So when we FOIL out x squared minus 7x minus 18, we get x minus 9 times x plus 2. All right, let's move on to the next question, or to the next problem. Okay, our last problem is h squared plus 3h minus 40. So we see in this instance, our c is negative 40. So when we get ready to factor this trinomial out, we know through the FOIL method, in order to get h squared, we'll have h times h. So now we're looking at our next variables, 3h and minus 40. So I need to find two numbers that when you multiply them, you get negative 40, but when you add them, you get a positive 3. So let's go through that. We could try 40 times a negative 1, or negative 40 times 1. We could do 5 times a negative 8, or 8 times a negative 5. We could also do 4 times a negative 10, or negative 4 times 10. So which of these numbers, I multiply them, I get minus 40, which is all. But when I add the two numbers, I get plus 3. 8 and a minus 5. So we have h plus 8 and h minus 5. We'll do our last check to make sure that this number, that these two binomials, when we multiply them, we get our original answer. So we use the FOIL method to multiply those. So we have the first h times h squared, outside, which is h times a negative 5, which is negative 5h, inside, which is 8 times h, and then last, 8 times negative 5 is minus 40. We combine like terms. We have h squared. We have an 8h minus a 5h, which gives us our positive 3h, and then minus 40, which takes us back to our original answer. So there you have it. I hope this helps. If this helped you, send it to someone else, and we will see you in the next video.